How many of you have seen the cute little Apple ads with the little PC guy and the Mac guy, and they kind of Mac guy will point out all its good points, and the PC guy will somehow manage to point out all his flaws. They're funny. I had a good little chuckle over the Vista one where Mac will say hi to PC, and PC, the guy standing beside PC, the big suit and glasses on, will say, Mac has issued a salutation, would you cancel or allow? For the most part, it's pretty funny, but it's not necessarily true. Vista's UAC is really not that annoying, really. It's only when you're running certain programs that require authorization, because they could potentially harm your computer if used incorrectly, or if the code was, if you're launching a certain code that could be malicious. In some cases, cancel or allow could probably save your ass. In a matter of speaking, I have had people who will email me and say, oh, I have a stupid Vista, cancel or allow. It keeps asking me, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? I already clicked it. I want to do that. And Vista would not let him run this one program. This happened a few times actually, but in one case, couldn't run this one program, right? So I go, he emailed me about 14 times. So at this point, I figured, all right, let's see this laptop. So I look at the laptop, and the program he's trying to run was an antivirus program that he downloaded over the internet that wasn't legit. It was actually it was at least malware. I'm not sure if it was a virus. I don't know what it would have done if he actually fully installed it. But it was one of those annoying pop-up malware viruses. You can call it whatever you want, really. But a program that's obviously not good for your computer, and he was trying to run it, and Vista just wouldn't let him, just because it was malicious, and Vista knew that. So when Mac, when they do that little commercial, they're exaggerating one point of an operating system that may not be such a flaw, could be a good point, and that's what Mac tends to do. Or Apple, not Mac, Apple. Apple tends to exaggerate a lot on different points of not only their own operating system but others' operating system. The way they talk about Windows crashing, they're talking like Windows crashes is like every time you boot up your computer, it's gonna crash on you, and it doesn't. I've had a PC. I have a PC server here, and it's probably been running for a year straight. Not doing, just a file server with, a few extra drives in it. It's an old system I put together a while ago, but it's not going to crash on me. If it does, it'll maybe crash, once a month. If your computer crashes once a month, you're okay. Like, the way Mac seems to exaggerate is that it just, you turn your computer, it's just going to crash on you. That's all it's going to do. Like, it's just such an over-exaggeration. It really doesn't need to be used, because, Apple's doing well. They're doing well with the iPod. They're doing well with various Apple products, including their MacBook Pro lines. They're not having any problems. They shouldn't have to exaggerate Microsoft's, bad points to the point where, where they're outright lying. Like, sure, if you want to say Vista's UAC is annoying, sure. But don't exaggerate to the point where people thinking that every time they're going to click a window, it's going to say cancel or allow. It doesn't. In a day of using Vista, it may only ask me about 5 times, depending on what programs I'm using. When I'm opening up my web browser, it's not going to say cancel or allow. It's just going to let me do it. Not so that I'm offending Vista, because I do think Vista is a very, very flawed operating system, but just saying that you can't. Apple really needs to not exaggerate the flaws in Microsoft, but not only exaggerate the good points in the OS X operating system. They say Macs never crash. Macs do crash. They say Macs. They say that Macs. They just exaggerate so much how Mac is a better or Apple or OS X is a better operating system, and OS X is a great operating system. I do prefer it to Windows, but like a Windows user should have the right to use Windows, and a Mac user should have the right to use Mac. The fight about this is really pointless, because without Mac, Microsoft would make really, really shitty products. No, no, no lie there. Without competition, they would make really shitty products. There's no other really OS competitor except for Linux, and Linux is not. It's not. It's not well known enough yet to be a threat to Microsoft. It is a threat in some ways, but it's not such a big threat as OS X is, or the Apple operating system. And without Microsoft, Apple may. I don't know what Apple would do. I don't know if they'd make the products that they do now. They might, slack, because if you got the lead, why would you care? And there's no one fighting for that. Why would you care? So you've really got to watch. My main advice for this video is basically watch what they're saying. Watch what Microsoft's saying, because they do it just as much as Apple does, and watch what Apple's saying. Don't swallow the hype that they're saying. Don't take everything they say to heart, because some of it's not true. And then you get people, new Mac users, who are frustrated because they said, well, Mac's never crashed, and my computer is slow, it's crashing, or it's freezing. And you say to them, well, it happens. It doesn't matter what computer you're using. If you start doing too much on a computer, or using programs that are not necessarily compatible with that operating system, it's going to crash, or it's going to slow down at least. You can't focus on what Microsoft says and take it to heart, because Microsoft has said a lot of things about their operating system. Let's use Vista as an example. They said Vista was going to be wow, it's going to be great, it's going to be the best operating system you're ever going to use. Vista was horrible. It had its good points. It's an okay operating system. I would never use it as a primary operating system, just because I don't have time to wait an hour while my important applications that I use, I find out that either they're not compatible, and I have to somehow find a way to make them compatible, or dealing with crashes. I don't have time. I don't know about you. I'm sure you have better things to do than watch your PC crash. So just be careful what you listen to. Be careful what you hear from not only Microsoft and Apple, but what you hear from other people. Research it. You can't just accept it from one source. If you're in the market to switch to Mac, or if you're switching to PC, or you're switching to Linux, research what the operating system does, how it does it, why it does it that way, how it's different from other operating systems, and how much of a benefit that operating system will have on everyday tasks that you wish to complete. So be careful what you do, careful what you listen to. Not that you should be afraid from knowledge, because knowledge is very, very important, but just make sure you have enough of it to make the decision that you want to on each operating system, and don't swallow the hype that Apple or Microsoft may be dishing out to you just because they can.